know that you literally worked on this album while you were doing the Eras tour, which is mind-boggling. I think to everybody who hears it, that you were doing this like a seminal tour and also like working on this. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So like when, my question is, when do you, is it harder when you know there's a snake in the house?
I actually sleep a lot and I sleep often. It's just that I don't do anything other than this when I'm not sleep. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not, I don't have a lot of other things.
Hi, besties. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, October 17th. You know, the thing that Blake does, Blake Lively, she runs around and tries to attach herself and use people for clout, and her connections to A-list stars are the reason why she still has relevance, even though she hasn't really been super phenomenally successful. She had a lot of box office bombs. She accidentally tripped into It Ends With Us, hijacked a movie, almost completely destroyed it, and that it still managed to have a really big box office, not because of anything she did, but because the book sold 10 million copies and had a rabid fan base, a la Colleen Hoover. But she has also been spending a lot of time either through sources, allegedly, like Leslie Sloan or her representatives, really trying to continue this narrative publicly that there's some sort of possible reconciliation between her and Taylor Swift. Now, when Taylor Swift's new album was released, there was a lot of speculation that Taylor was doing these little Easter eggs to Blake because of a bracelet, and Blake had a bracelet like that, Lorraine Schwartz, and so therefore they must be friends. Or lyrics from a song written in 2024 before they stopped being friends and canceled, somehow proving that she and Blake are still friends. Rumors put out by Dumois, who is repped by WME, by the way, and has the same agency as Blake and Ryan, suggesting that Taylor and Blake had a secret meetup recently and now they're friends again and they're just hiding from, their secret meeting. There was even rumors that Blake was invited to the album release party, which was therefore and then debunked because she literally was not there. There has been so many people trying to connect the dots that this whole conspiracy that Blake and Taylor weren't friends was actually just a ruse to get Taylor distanced from this issue of this PR nightmare and to just, pretend like they weren't friends so that they could just, get Taylor out of the fray. Now, smoke and mirrors isn't a huge thing that's not outside the realm of possibility when it comes to Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood has this weird thing where they will actually fabricate relationships. They've done things like back when it wasn't acceptable for a leading man to be gay, they would set people up into PR marriages, right? PR agents would have the guy marry a woman, which it would be called like a lavender marriage. It was just a way to make him look straight when he wasn't. Hollywood has also done things like hooked up stars that are two really up and comers because combined efforts gives them more power. And then the relationship only hangs on for a short period of time and then it bursts into flames. So there is always speculation online that, well, all of this must be fake. And clearly, because Taylor said, "Did you girl boss too close to the sun?" And because Taylor said she likes her friends canceled, therefore she must be friends with Blake. I was not going to buy into any of it. I said last week until I saw a photograph of them together, I don't believe it. And I suspected there would be some sort of response from Taylor Swift's sources, i.e., Tree Payne, releasing something anonymously, either through Daily Mail or through Page Six or whoever they talk to, that this wasn't true. Why do I think that? Because back when I was still, getting information from Mr. Vasuka from Daily Mail, remember the long fledgling journalist that placed himself in the middle of this dispute, handed over text messages between him and Leslie Sloan, which showed Leslie basically mirroring Justin to the tabloids. He flat out told me that Taylor's representative said that their relationship is done. Blake is dead to her. She will never be friends with Taylor again. Taylor will never be friends with Blake again. He showed me screen grabs of his conversations with Tree. It appeared that a lot of the stories that were getting published by James between that period of time when he was still reporting about Taylor and Blake was coming directly from Tree. And Tree's narrative was that Blake and Taylor were not friends, that Miss Swift felt that she had been exploited and used for clout, and that she was never, ever getting back together with Blake. It's strange that the public cannot accept that this friendship is over. They somehow think it's not. And I guess it doesn't help that Blake's side continues to fuel speculation that they have reconciled. But Page Six today is now reconfirming that Taylor Swift has had no contact with former bestie Blake Lively since Justin's lawsuit drama. Now, I want to be clear about something. There's been a lot of overhype of this friendship where they call it like this is Taylor's exclusive bestie. And Taylor Swift has a lot of friends. And she's has besties like Gigi Hadid. She has besties like Cara Levine. She has besties like Selena Gomez. She has a lot of besties. And Selena and her have been friends much longer than she has with Blake. Blake just attempted to confuse all of you by making Taylor the godmother to her children, which is ridiculous because Blake has also said that her sister is the godmother. She has also said that the traveling pants ladies are the godmothers. Like, literally, these kids have more godmothers than anyone I've ever seen. And by the way, Blake and Ryan don't go to church. Ryan grew up Catholic, okay? And if they have godchildren, the godparent also has to be Catholic if they got baptized and they were in the Catholic Church. So, at least when I was growing up, that's how it was. So, it's highly doubtful they were baptized in a Catholic church. Blake grew up, I think, Baptist, but neither one of them are active in church. So, it's highly improbable that any sort of baptism ever occurred. So, just remember that it was all fake. She probably put this on Taylor as a way to make Taylor feel like she was more connected and more, close to her than she was. And by the way, Blake made Taylor a godmother after knowing her for less than a year. That's like stage 5 clinger behavior. And it should have been the first warning sign to Taylor that Blake was using her for clout. But again, I don't always think that Taylor has the best pickers because her business is run by her family. She's got a lot of people that control everything that goes on in her life. She's been sheltered and lives in a bubble where, she's just not always making the best decisions. It's no hate on Taylor, okay? So Blake and Taylor still have bad blood. It says, while Instagram's scuttlebutt account, Dumois, reported this week that the former friends whose relationship was marred amid fallout from Lively's legal drama with Ends With Us director had a low-key reunion. Page 6 here's otherwise. Scuttlebutt. Is that an insult? Oh, it's a gossip. Means gossip account. So Dumois has, for the most part, been putting out propaganda for Blake for a long time. This is the same account that once said that, Justin had admitted to all of these things that he had done. And behind the scenes, everyone would be shocked by what is going on. The source says they have had no contact. They haven't spoken since last winter when the drama surrounding the case began unfolding, which is likely around January. Yeah. And then remember the February issue with the Super Bowl, and Blake wanted her to put out support for her and she refused. Yeah. Another source confirmed that the former BFFs have not spoken or seen each other, but did not elaborate on a timeline. I feel like that source is Leslie Sloan, like she's going to be vague. Page 6 points out that they have not been seen together publicly. They haven't been seen publicly since October of 2024. Everything blew up because of the lawsuit that Baldoni filed, which has now been dismissed, where he claimed Lively weaponized her friendship with Swift, and text messages were released with Lively famously referring to her husband Ryan and Swift as her dragons. And at the time, all of this stuff was coming out, right? Where Blake was saying that, her best friend is like her dragon, and she weaponized contacting Taylor about using her music unless she got a cut of the film, unless she could use, do whatever she wanted with the trailer. And they also claimed that Miss Swift was at a meeting at the penthouse regarding the rooftop scene. And all of that apparently made Taylor feel used. Taylor wishes Blake hadn't dragged her into this whole situation. They have been friends for years, and Taylor cherishes genuine friendships, but can't help but feel used at this point. And then a separate source in August said that Swift will be forever furious at how Blake quite clearly was using her for clout and leverage in her dealings with Justin. She really hates that Blake would even think like that, let alone write the things she did in that text. So, do you really think that Taylor's team would put all this stuff out about how she would forever be furious? She felt like she was used for clout. She couldn't believe that Blake would say these things in a text message. She felt exploited. And when she filed in the lawsuit like last month in September about the depositions, if you recall, her attorneys said, "We take no position in this dispute." No position. That means she's not an ally to either side. If you're friends with someone and you're truly a witness for them, you would be sympathetic and an ally to Blake if you're their friend. Taylor says, "I take no position in this suit, a suit that involves sexual harassment." This is a woman that, again, I've told you a million times, sued a guy for like groping her, going up her back and touching her bottom when she was at a when she was at a meet and greet, and she won the lawsuit. And this is a woman that has supported other victims like Kesha, and I think gave Kesha $250,000 to fight her producer when Kesha came forward saying Dr. Luke assaulted her, which that whole suit was later settled. So it never made sense to me that if it was what it said it was, that Taylor wouldn't support her. Now, conspiracy theorists will say that the reason why Taylor isn't supporting her isn't because she doesn't believe Blake. It's because Taylor was super involved in this hijacking of the film. And because she was so involved in the hijacking of the film, she's trying to cover up for herself and pretend like she had nothing to do with this. But I just don't how that just doesn't even seem plausible to me because she was on tour and she was in a new relationship. And according to her new album, all she was doing was getting wood. Okay. And then the other issue that has come up, because her new album includes songs that sound like they could be about Blake, she must be still friends with her. But people think Canceled is about Sophie Turner. They think it's about Gigi Hadid. They think it could be about Brittany Mahomes. The thing with Taylor is she's intentionally vague about who she talks about. And she litters things in her lyrics that can confuse people, so it could be applicable to anyone. Unless it's absolutely obvious, like actually romantic, where she seems to clearly be talking about Charlie XCX. I don't think any song on this album are about Blake, and she's not friends with Blake. And again, Taylor's team is trying to shut down that they are friends. I truly believe the only one that's continuing to push this narrative and flout out these rumors is Blake and her side to stay relevant. People are saying that Taylor's doing this, like on the one side saying they're friends, on the other side saying they're not. I don't see that because Taylor doesn't need Blake to be relevant. She doesn't. Taylor's album is the biggest selling album since the new streaming way of counting albums, has been gone into, I think, since 2015. The new way that they count album sales, she's the highest sales ever, 4 million plus in her first week. Taylor does not need Blake. Blake needs Taylor. Taylor doesn't need to float stuff in the tabloids to confuse people. Blake does. Because earlier this week, there was also a rumor that, Blake is worried about Taylor not being friends with her anymore and how that will impact Ryan. Sort of proving that both Ryan and Blake used Taylor. So that's the tea today, and we're waiting still to find out what's going to happen with the audio. Nothing yet has been released, and once it is, I'll let you know. if they move forward with that. But today it's clear Taylor and Blake are not friends. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, best.